Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. So glad that you're here with us. So we've been talking about what the leader is responsible for. Now I want to ask you this question. Who is the leader responsible for? Who is the leader responsible for? The last several times we were together, we discovered that the leader is responsible for the part that they play in the relationship, as well as their own emotional well-being and destiny. The last sign, the sixth sign of emotional maturity was taking responsibility for your own emotional being and destiny. And I want to drive home one last point on this subject of taking responsibility, which is the next logical step, which leads us to the seventh indicator. And the seventh sign or the seventh indicator of emotional maturity is being responsible for and speaking for yourself and only for yourself. Being responsible for and speaking for yourself and only yourself. Stick around as we unbox your leadership by unboxing relationships. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach, and welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. All right. Welcome on back in. Please do me a favor before we get started. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. And if you're listening to this via podcast, you want to check out our website. It's www.swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org. All right. Again, the seventh sign of the leader's emotional maturity is being responsible and speaking for yourself and only for yourself. And let me unbox what that means. The most dangerous word for parents, teachers, therapists, counselors, and leaders, the most dangerous word in the world for them, are you ready for this? Is empathy. Empathy. The word empathy has nothing to do with emotional support and compassion. The word empathy was a German word. It was created in 1922 to describe the viewer's relationship to a work of art. The word did not enter the English vocabulary until 1931. The original intent of the word empathy was to convey how projecting one's self into a work of art, whether that's a painting, a sculpture, music, theater, would enable a viewer to appreciate better the creation that they were observing. That's where the word empathy came from. Empathy then got transferred over into the social sciences and into the helping field. And so now empathy is a common word in the helping and leadership professions. The way that we use it, we take empathy to mean to feel in, to feel in. It was intended to be a more sophisticated and a more advanced word to convey the thoughts, it was intended to be a more advanced way of conveying such words as sympathy or compassion, which means only to feel or to suffer with. And so, because of how empathy has been injected into our common parlance and common vernacular, we have come to believe that projecting yourself into the skin of another would enable you to understand the other person fully, to be more sensitive to his or her condition, and to better appreciate his or her dilemma. And I'm a little twisted right now because I literally just left a task force meeting where we were talking about public safety policies. And so I'm trying to shift my mind all the way over. Please forgive me if I kind of stumble over myself. I appreciate your patience. So we think about the importance of projecting yourself into the skin of another, to be able to actually feel what they're feeling, to appreciate their dilemmas. And there are two fallacies that have arisen from the use of the word empathy. The first fallacy is this: even if you have walked in someone else's shoes, you cannot fully appreciate what they are experiencing. because there are so many other factors that come along with their entire history of existence that contribute to how they're experiencing a trauma or a difficulty or a situation in the presence. So, because your life is different, when you and another person experience the exact same situation, it resonates differently because you have two different experiences. So, to say that, I'm going to put myself in their shoes, it really is impossible to put yourself in someone else's shoes because the human experience is just so dynamic. The second fallacy that we have with this word empathy is that the secret to helping someone deal with their difficulties, adversities, or trauma is ensuring that they know how much you care. As a pastor, we used to always taught people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so if the second fallacy is that in order to help someone to deal with trauma or adversities, they first need to really know that you care for them. Are you ready for me to share with you the most controversial statement that you've ever heard? Are you ready for this? This is probably going to be the most controversial statement that you've ever heard. And this is what it is. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you. Perhaps what people need most when they are navigating difficulties, adversities, or trauma is someone who is emotionally mature, who will show up as their best self and only their best self, instead of someone who attempts to project themselves into their skin or experience. Perhaps what they need is just someone who is emotionally mature and will show up as their best self rather than someone who says, I'm going to walk in your shoes. I feel your pain. I'm going to empathize with you. Empathy often allows people to be what they believe the other person needs instead of being the best person that they can possibly be. So then we adjust ourselves to be what the other person needs. Too many people avoid taking responsibility for themselves in the name of helping or leading others. And this is one of the reasons why so many people in the helping profession, so many pastors, so many executive directors of nonprofits, so many community leaders, so many social justice advocates, so many people who work with the indigent, the homeless, abused children, abused women. So many of these people experience burnout and they experience all kinds of emotional issues within their own lives. And that is because they are attempting to be what the other needs. And I can tell you this as a pastor, I was always thinking about how do I provide the church with what it needs rather than trying to figure out how do I just be the best me that I need to be. Leadership, I'm going to put this up on the screen as well. Leadership is figuring out who you are with all people and in all situations, rather than empathizing and trying to figure out what your team or certain team members may need. Excuse the grammatical error. Being the best that you can be in all times and in all situations, rather than trying to figure out what your team or certain team members may need. I want you to get this now. That's true leadership. That is how you establish true relationships. Because being your best you, if you never lived a life, you never were abused by your parents, if you were never molested, if you were never abandoned, if you were never, then how in the world, if you come from a good, two-parent home where both your parents were warm, supportive, and loving of you, which I hope and pray that was your experience, how are you going to help someone who's been in that experience, who comes from a broken, battered home? You've never had that experience. How are you going to empathize with them? They don't need you to empathize with them. What they need is for you to be the best you, the most mature you, the most solid self that you could possibly be. Stop labeling your emotional immaturity as empathy. Your need to be approved and your fusion with other people, stop labeling that as empathy and start being responsible for and speaking for yourself and only yourself. Because at the end of the day, Only you can unbox your leadership by unboxing relationships. Take care.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.